I was like, stavo aspettando, io ho imparato una parola nuova questa settimana qui in Italia, perché io stavo aspettando alla strada e c'era il traffico e quando è passatomi una macchina che l'ho sentito, Froccio.
Are you a shit talker?
Just privately, but it's usually the same two people. Like, that's it.
Liza Traeger always.
Liza has a list made every day. Liza's the queen of, she knows exactly what's happening at what time. She's created like selling sunset within the comedy community. Yeah. I love Liza Traeger. If you go out to lunch with Liza, you just have to know, like, we're gonna get some good tea. Usually her opinion is always right. I love Liza.
It's right, but I will say, Liza always gets mad at me because I won't talk shit with her because I feel like I'm feeding a gremlin, and I'm like Liza, I can't go there with you because I really don't know how to control you afterwards. You'll get too big, you'll destroy the city. And but she really does. I do like to listen. She's got some good.
She's great. Also, just the way that Liza talks, she's so captivating. I mean, she just keeps going, and you just keep wanting to follow along the path. You're like, and then what? Like she's almost like my nonna describing like small things, like when her lunch like was spoiled, but it sounds so dramatic and engaging. You're like, then what else? You know, that's sort of Liza.
How many? Speaking of, you're from where? Okay, you're from Illinois.
Yeah,
you grew up in Illinois.
Arlington Heights, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And then you were in Chicago for a long time.
I was in Chicago almost like 17-ish. I moved with my friend Sophia and Anais, so I lived in the city from 17 to 25, and then 25 I moved to New York for a drawing job.
A drawing job because you went to the Art Institute.
I did go to the Art Institute of Chicago.
And you studied drawing?
I studied fashion illustration, storyboarding, and oil painting. It was a major in oil painting with a side in storyboarding with fashion illustration, which those two do actually go hand in hand. And then I got a job as a storyboard artist. I was illustrating like very large like Lexus commercials, 7-Up, like big ad campaigns from like 21 to 27, and then it brought me to New York, and then at 27 I quit my job, and then now I tell jokes.
Now I'm a comedian, actually.
Yeah.
You are one of actually it's not jealousy that I feel towards you, but it is like a level of impression. You speak like a billion languages.
Well, I learned my lesson this. I was just touring Europe, and I thought I was gonna impress, like I was touring with my friend Francesca De Carlo from Italy, and so we get to Germany, and I was like, I got this, and I walk up to the taxi driver, and I'm like, Guten Morgen. He's like, get in the car. I was like, got it. Cool. On my way.
He's like, no, sweetie.
Yeah.
You're like, bitteschön. And he's like, no, get in.
But the Spanish and the Italians, like I can go on and on in Spanish and Italian, but German, they were not there for it.
I try to learn like one little phrase in every place I go, and that's the best I can do.
What, can you give me some phrases you've learned?
Yeah, of course. In Amsterdam, I learned Dank je wel voor de rit.
You're Gesundheit.
Thank you.
I mean, I will say Dutch sounds like German with bronchitis, and I could not pronounce anyone's name. They all sound like a sneeze. I was like, hi, Matteo. They're like, my name is... I'm like, oh. My God. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's nutty over there. But Dank je wel voor de rit. Thank you for the ride.
Oh, okay.
That's one thing
Danke.
I can give.
Yeah. Danke. It's a dramatic language. That's right.
Dankeschön.
Right.
That'll do it. Yeah. And then...
Did you perform in Amsterdam?
No, I've only performed in London.
Okay, so the Dutch audiences, they were good, but this is how they enjoy comedy. And then afterwards, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay.
Stoic and gorgeous. They enjoy comedy like a statue.
They do. And you know what? It's real insufferable when you're on stage. But I enjoyed Amsterdam very much.
I love Amsterdam. I did not do comedy there. I don't know how I would do. I was nervous about London, which I don't know why. The
British are the best audiences.
They were great.
They're fantastic. For as miserable as they are.
Yeah.
You know, it's raining. They're drinking at 3 p.m. You know, but as an audience, they're on time and they're hysterical. Like they're the best you could possibly receive. I just did shows in Manchester, Dublin, Cologne, Berlin, Madrid, and Rome. And I was the most nervous about Madrid because American comics usually don't go perform in Spanish countries. We were doing this big theater. They were the best audience I had. They were great.
Do you ever perform in another language?
Italian, I mixed it. Yeah, I always mix it in Italian, but this time I opened up for my friend Francesca De Carlo, and I did my drive-by joke in Italian.
Yeah. You did it in Italian?
Yeah. I did like maybe like 10-ish minutes in Italian, which is hard to like translate the jokes. But I just said I was like, stavo aspettando, io ho imparato una parola nuova questa settimana qui in Italia, perché io stavo aspettando alla strada e c'era il traffico e quando è passatomi una macchina che l'ho sentito, Froccio.
Just and did it kill? Be honest.
Yeah, they were like, funny and true.
How did you meet this Italian comic that you're
I did years
infatuated
ago,
with?
like 8 years ago in Montreal, God rest their soul, when they had a show called The Ethnic Show. They've changed it. I was the Italian, which I'm sure was a great disappointment for many of the Italians who came there expecting Sebastian Maniscalco, and they got Nathan Lane and... but there was a comic on the show from South Africa. We were all kind of siloed into our ethnic groups, but it was nice to be with each other in the green room. And Orny Adams, I can do a great Orny Adams, by the way. But we were there, and Loizo was from South Africa and said, "Oh, you're Italian. You have to meet this Italian comic, Francesco De Carlo," who I ended up meeting when I did a show in Milan. We did like a bookstore together, and then just became good friends ever since.
Obsessed. That's very similar to Second City used to have a touring company called Brown Co.
Excuse?
That was all people of color. And then they changed it to Urban Twist.
Well, on the Travel Channel, because I'm obsessed with the Travel Channel and ghost shows. Evidently, there's too many white people looking for ghosts, which does go to show how well white people are doing that. Like most of our time and efforts are looking for things that aren't there, and so they got nervous and they're like, we have to have black people. So they had a show, and I am not making this up, called Ghost Brothers. And
No.
Yes, and it's about 5 black barbers who go ghost adventuring. Which then I wrote a joke and I was like, well, we don't need like gay. I don't need like a gay ghost hunting show of like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy or Queer Eye for the Dead Guy. Just like 5 gay men walking in abandoned rooms. Like, well, of course he's haunting you. Look what you're wearing. It's like, it's Travel Channel. It's fine. You can have white people and Demi Lovato looking for ghosts. It's fine.
Demi Lovato. I would pay.
Unhinged.
I would pay. Is Demi Lovato doing ghost hunting?
Yeah, ghost and alien hunting. Demi Lovato. She now goes back to she. I think she's non-binary, but she goes back to she. Anyhow, she said that she found that the word alien is it's patronizing to aliens, so we have to call them extraterrestrials. Because I didn't realize extraterrestrials were so into political. Identity politics.
Yeah, they're offended easily.
they are.
Back to She, the Demi Lovato story would be gorgeous. Back to She, the gender identity Demi Lovato story. Kind of like Back to Black for Amy Winehouse. Back to She. We're getting back to basics.
Could she have the same beehive? It would be great. Check when the hair is gone and be like, time to make a biopic. Like this, it's too much.
The beehive is still intact. Let her rest.
I wonder the gay who's making the beehive for the great. You know what I mean? Like this is gonna last. You know, that was what he was thinking. But it's so disrespectful. Like when the Titanic, the people went to go down to see the Titanic and stuff, and of course they died. It's like just let people. It's a grave. Leave it alone. Although I was in Italy when that happened, when they went down to go look at the Titanic, and I mistranslated Italian. I was with my cousin Nino and his girlfriend, and we were on the beach, and she was like really into Twitter, and I was like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, a ship under the sea, Titanic, and people died. And I was like, yeah, that's the Titanic. You know what I mean? I didn't realize the word submarine, which I still don't know. So I was like, oh, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Oh, the submersible.
Yeah.
The submersible, the way that people do stupid things. When people die doing stupid things, I go, it's no worries. I can't be too concerned about it. It's like, what am I don't know. Like when people die doing stupid shit, I'm like, for sure. The fact that the Jackass guys have never died on set, none of them have died on set. I'm like, that's crazy.
First of all, a set. Secondly, no, but it's the same with like Steve Irwin died. Everyone's like, oh my God, he was swimming with stingrays and died. And I was like, well, they weren't poetry writing rays. Like it's in the name. And I'll never forgive Bindi Irwin, whatever her name is, Bindi, right? It was like Dad hadn't even died yet. She's like, I'll have my own show, Bindi's Adventures. I'm like, we have to slow down, slow our roll here.
I don't like when the kids of famous people get to be famous just by association. I'm not talking about Nepo babies. I'm talking about something even worse, like that, where it's like you're not even like getting your first acting gig because your dad was somebody and working your way up. You're just straight up getting like an animal show. That to me is nuts.
Well, that's why I always... Liza Minelli. Liza has tried every single interview to convince us that she had no help from her mother, Judy Garland, or her father, Vincent Minnelli. She's like, I started from the bottom up. I was building sets at Summer Stock.
Do you know my favorite clip of her ever?
I have millions, and I'm glad you brought this up. Go ahead.
When she is with Paula Deen, the cake scene.
Yes.
The cake clip, where she's like, I couldn't possibly. Oh my digging into the can. Please.
I fell in love with Liza. It was right before 9/11, and she was doing it was the Michael Jackson 30th anniversary special. And I didn't know who Liza was, but she had just recovered from brain encephalitis, but she was still a little shaky. And she was on stage, and she just sounded like beef jerky. But even then, there was something in her. I was like, I am interested. And then now my impression of Liza is like post-stroke 7 and hip replacement and stuff like that. But my favorite Liza quote on Larry King years ago, she was talking about Lady Gaga, and she said, when I see Lady Gaga, I see someone with strength, pizzazz, and also pizzazz. She's great. If you've not seen Liza Minnelli on the Home Shopping Network, some gay splicing out the best of the 4 minutes, and it is that the woman working on the Home Shopping Network to keep Liza going deserves like a Pulitzer Prize. She was working it.
The only thing better than her on the Home Shopping Network was it QVC or the Home Shopping Network where the moon is a planet? Do you remember that?
No.
Was it Isaac? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Was it Isaac Mizrahi?
I think so. Where the moon is a planet, where he's like, the moon is so a planet I can't stand it. Chunky, if you're listening, Google the moon. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was QVC. Sean Killinger. Oh, it was not Isaac Mizrahi. It is so funny. It's this. They're like showing off these shirts, and this gay guy goes, "It kind of looks like the moon," and the woman goes, "Oh, I guess it kind of does." Our favorite star or something, and he goes, "Honey, the moon is a planet," and they just go back and forth about the moon being a planet or not.
It was like 13,000 sold.
Absolutely,
like on the bottom, like kind of like crawling. Yeah, Liza, the host always trying to upsell, and so she was like, "You could wear 4 or 5," and Liza's like, "What?" She's like, "Your bracelet," and Liza goes, "Well, 1 will do." Liza,
no, baby girl.
It's painful to watch. It is.
You guys. It's your boy, Caleb. And I know you see these cans in the podcast. You see me drinking this. You see me at a concert with one of these bad boys, and you're going, whoa, Caleb's off the stuff. Oh, my gosh, he's drinking a beer? What the heck? Caleb's sipping on an energy drink? No. Guys, it's Liquid Death, okay? They're making mountain spring water, low-sugar sodas, and low-sugar iced teas, too. And they're killing the single-use plastic bottle. They're absolutely murdering the single-use plastic bottle. They're in court. They're being brought up on charges of murder because they're destroying the single-use plastic bottle. So we love Liquid Death, and we really encourage you guys to drink it because they've been very nice to me. And I know what you guys are thinking. Caleb, they've got 1 billion products. They all look so tasty. What's your favorite one? Well, I'm a simple, classic kind of guy. I'm old Hollywood with it. I love the regular spring water. You can get free shipping of Liquid Death's mountain water, flavored sparkling, and iced tea 8-packs with Amazon Prime, or grab a can or a case at your local 7-Eleven, Target, Walmart, Whole Foods, or on Instacart. Go to liquiddeath.com/so-true to check out all their healthy, infinitely recyclable beverages and find your closest retailer. That's liquiddeath.com/so-true. Again, liquiddeath.com/so-true. You were talking about all the places you just toured, and I have a question for you, which is, when are you going to sleep ever? Like, what?
After this weekend. Yesterday I was like sleep deprived and had an anxiety attack. So I'm like, once this weekend's over with, albeit I'm very excited, like very cool, but I cannot wait to just go home, wake up, sit on my couch, and play Fortnite with my friend Donnie.
You did it, Matteo. I think we need to rest. You do so much.
I know. I look so
No,
tired.
you look amazing.
Botox. But Botox, hair transplants, and filler. But yeah, I'm just like that, right? Yeah.
How many specials have you done?
I did my own comedy special on YouTube, and I did it at the Comedy Cellar because God bless the Comedy Cellar, they don't charge you. And but I do these mini, I call them advice specials, which is essentially my version of crowd work, which is instead of accosting an audience member, being like, "You look like an idiot," I just have them ask me the questions, and it can create it's a little more bit oriented, to be honest with you. And I've done a bunch of them, and it's essentially one, because it is fun and it is a skill, but 2, it's biding time between right now I've been spending a year and a half writing all this new material and performing it. I'm filming the special for Hulu and Disney in October, and then that will come out in May. So it's kind of holding space online just to sort of remind people I'm not dead yet. And, but it's a lot of fun. But I have a couple of those on YouTube, and it's all on YouTube.
How do you feel the filling space online to remind people you're not dead? Content is such a huge part of this. Like, how do you feel about the online content thing? Because you're a stand-up. You love stand-up.
I love
seller.
stand-up.
You're always writing new. How do you feel about the internet stuff? You're so good at it.
Well, honestly, I think it was like 20 to get so serious. It was, I really did struggle for a very long time. I could not get work. Certainly no auditions and no producer. No one wanted, I had pretty much nothing until after 2020. And I remember being really frustrated because I tried, you work so hard. I've been doing stand-up for almost 16 years and you're trying to sell your special. And yeah, it's a bit of an uphill battle sometimes when you're gay because you can be pigeonholed or whatever. So I was trying to sell so badly to Netflix because that was sort of the way to do it. And they said, no. I mean, multiple times no. And I was so frustrated because I couldn't pay rent. I was trying to do a show in Miami on a Thursday and they called and said, Matteo only sold 21 tickets. We're canceling the show. It's like a 600-seat room. And I just called Andrew Schultz and I was like, I do not know what to do. And you're the only person I've seen to like completely change the game. He talked to me for 3 hours on the phone. He was like, take that hour that you have from you were going to sell to Netflix, which you filmed at the Cellar, and just cut it up and I'll tell you how to like caption it and done. And I started doing it and it very quickly realized, oh, like that's very interesting. Like how cool, like there's an audience out there and very interesting. And it just sort of went from there. And then I hired my friend Chris Cazzo to film me. And I keep it pretty simple. I just do one video for YouTube a week, which is now usually me just watching Kathy Mitchell videos. Do you know Kathy Mitchell from the infomercials, like Dump Cake? A turbo cooker, she's great, and I just sort of critique those. And then cooking videos and just occasional stand-up. But I'm like the Barefoot Contessa. I'm not trying to change the game. You're gonna get pretty much the same version of a roasted chicken each week. Like I'm not trying to dominate the world. And but I have recently I've had to stop going online. I pretty much use Instagram just for messaging. Yeah. I post and then I message, but the brain is not meant in 30 seconds to see all of the world events plus nice butts plus cooking plus cartoons plus like because when you're on the road, I'm doom scrolling all the time because you're bored in an airport. So it's like I've had to sort of figure out where else I can sort of put my energy. So I'm just playing a lot of old Pokemon games.
Yeah. On what?
There's a Game Boy Analog. If you've never had, I'm really nerding out. But there's a thing called the Game Boy Analog. Mm-hmm. You can buy the real old games and use it in them. Anyway, so I'm playing Pokemon Emerald right now. But all that to be said, yes, I've definitely. It wasn't like I used the internet because I was like, I'm gonna forge a new world for myself. It was just sort of the only way to like get out what I was doing, and it worked, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy making cooking videos. I'm writing a cookbook, and I really enjoy just doing that, but I'm making sure I'm enjoying it. The second I push too hard and like via yesterday of full exhaustion is when I'm like, I have to take a huge step back and just gonna go rest and sort of regroup and then get my energy back and go out again and do it in the fall.
You mentioned in there it being hard being gay. I think sometimes regular people who are not in the entertainment industry are surprised because audiences love gay people, but the industry it is still a little.
Well, every audition is always best friend, and they don't say gay. They just say like sassy, speaks their mind, knows what they want, like,
tells it like it is.
I'm like just say.
Yes.
And I would love to sort of play like in a Christmas Netflix movie, just sort of be like that friend who's like, you're going to meet the fucking prince. I'll do it. I'll show up. I'll do it. But yeah. I decided I want to play I did this movie called Maximalian of the Future where I played this like ignorant British TV host. I was like, it's me, Brian. And I only want to play like Amy Sedaris-esque characters.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to be the main star. Just if there's a bridge troll, sign me up.
Yeah. Like 3 or 4 on the call sheet. Absolute clown. Come in 1 day a week.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the dream. But it is still, I feel like the gay roles are absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
And the like few gay people that get to be the big, fun, complex, interesting roles, there's like 2. It's like 2 people. Yeah, it is very.
And only one of them's gay.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's Dan Levy. It's Dan Levy, and then there's the rest of us. I have to tell you a story about us that I don't even think you know, which is when I was this was probably like I moved to New York for an internship in undergrad for a summer. And this is probably like 20, Chance, what was the first summer I went? 2016? 2016?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, no, it would have been before. It was 2015. It was before our junior year. 2015, I moved to New York, and I had not been to a lot of comedy. I've been to maybe like one stand-up comedy show in our college town, and I was going to a bunch of open mics and like trying to figure out if I was any good at comedy, and I of course was not.
But you are.
But I am
We
now.
can talk about how talented you are.
Mateo, stop.
It's
I mean,
true.
if your camera's there, but if
Nick,
you...
my friend Nick, if you know him, Nick, who dresses like a Victorian haunted doll, or B. Arthur in the Golden Girls, call me, I just don't understand. Like, he's such a natural. He's so funny. It really was the best hour I've seen in years. So
That was a perfect Nick.
yeah, and Nick hates everything. So, he was going on and on about you.
That's so sweet. I'll make out with Nick anytime. Nick, if you want to make out, let's just do it.
Oh,
It's
he
no
would
big
in a
deal.
heartbeat. Sure, when's a good time?
But I came to a show. It was somewhere in Brooklyn. I don't even know what it was. I found it on like one of those like Brooklyn to do this weekend lists. And you were doing, have I told you this before?
Mm-mm.
You were doing a set, and it was, maybe there were like 6 of us in the audience. Like, it was a small show, and it was like in the early evening.
I'm very nervous about this because
Well, you should be, because it doesn't paint you in a very good light.
Oh.
No, it was very funny. I had not been to a lot of comedy shows. There were like 6 of us in the audience. You were doing a great set. I was completely enamored by you. You were doing the one joke I remember you doing that I thought was so funny at the time was you had just done a joke about like trying to do like straight voices for auditions. And you're you're like, Jacob's gonna have a surprise.
That's true. I auditioned for Glee, and and the audition was like Zach, 19, football player, and I was like, well, Zach's gonna have a secret to share with everybody.
And I loved it, and I just thought this person is so fucking funny. I was like, I could watch you all day. But I don't know what would possess me to do this. I knew exactly how you felt about it. Now I know, but I like snapped. I was like snapping in response. I snapped in response to the joke.
I went for the snap, didn't I?
Is you ripped me apart.
Yeah.
You ripped me in front of, it was like me, 3 friends I brought from my internship program who didn't really want to come, and then like 2 strangers, and you were like, yeah, please invalidate this a little bit more. Thank you for the snaps.
I would.
You were so...
Yes.
And it was funny, but I was like...
I know. You know what? I have to... Okay, so 2016, I was probably living in, I still wasn't in I was living in a tenement apartment at one point in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I was like a Polish immigrant in 1940. But I was very, you know what's so funny is that you would remember that and thought that I was being angry. In my head, I probably thought I was being like really funny. But I was
funny.
I was a little more Joan Riversy then, where like anything from an audience that wasn't the reaction I wanted, I always snapped.
Yeah.
And my friend Bob the drag queen was like, oh, Matteo Lane will certainly get into a fight with an audience member. So I've done that a million times. So
Yeah.
I apologize now, because I probably thought in my head I was like, yeah, funny and hot, but like you were doing the right thing by responding with a snap. That's a nice thing to do. I've become much nicer.
I was absolutely doing the wrong thing. Audience members do not snap at a comedian. It is so invalidating. But it was very funny. But I wasn't good at being an audience member, and also I wanted to
I wasn't
be
good
a
at being
comedian.
a comic. I mean,
Oh my God.
It sounds like the two of us we've learned a lot.
We were in
since
a tough
then.
spot back then. But I literally remembered you because I absolutely adored you. I came to see you on other shows back then, and then I also saw, I forget his name, maybe Donnelly. He has his working class face was his like big
Sean Donnelly.
Donnelly.
Oh, I love Sean Donnelly.
I loved Sean Donnelly, and I haven't seen him in a minute. Like, I haven't seen him on a show, but back then I would, like, if he was on a show in New York, I'd pop
He has
up.
a great joke where he talks about like how he had his name on his shirt as a kid.
Yeah.
He's like, what was wrong with our parents? He's like, our parents were like, some stranger's like, you're Sean. That's me. Like, do you know what though? I have to say, like, looking back, like I was a little, I certainly wasn't mean. I mean, I'm if anything, the most sensitive and crying all the time. But like, I do think on stage, I felt because of, look, there was so many times that I was the only gay at an open mic. I mean, not even on the lineup, in the room, in the audience. I was just consistently doing shows where I was the only gay. And every single night I had to come out of the closet. Every single night I had to. And at some point it does give you a complex, because then your peers are saying, you don't have to come out. You don't have to do this. Like, you're above that. And then I'm like, well, I mean, I'm also proud of being gay. Like, you get so many mixed messages that my presence on stage was a heightened, like I was a bear trap. Like, one wrong move is like whoosh, because I just was so, and I certainly had no fame. I certainly had no audience. It was just me and myself trying to guess in this world where there was very few people to go to figure out, is this the right response? Is this the right energy? Is this the right thing? I mean, so I was a little more hostile on stage back then as a result of being very confused and very nervous and sort of thrown into the whirlwind of stand-up comedy in New York, which is, even straight is hard.
Well, and also, all of that being true, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, your biggest inspiration is Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers and my Aunt Cindy are the biggest inspiration.
Yeah.
Joan Rivers for sure. I didn't even think stand-up was available to me until I saw Joan. I was 22. And the first gay comic I'd ever seen like a male gay comic do stand-up was Bill Cruz in Chicago. I was 23, and that's when I started doing stand-up.
Yeah.
So, for 23 years of my life, I had no idea it was available to me. Just didn't. I know there were gay comics. Obviously, Mario Cantone is like a huge inspiration, but like his work was not available to me as a kid whose parents were too cheap to get cable, and I didn't know it existed. So I had to seek out. But Joan was the first person that made me want to do stand up.
Well, she also is so. I think a lot of people think that when they see someone like Joan, they think that they can just get up on stage and be mean and it'll work the way it works for Joan. But it is so
Layered.
fucking hard and layered and difficult. It is like being mean on stage and getting away with it is one of the most impossible things. And I tell people all the time about how you have to like if an audience member is misbehaving, they're like screaming out too much or being obnoxious. The way that you handle them, you have to walk such a tight line, because if you're more than anything, you think the audience identifies with you, but they actually identify as a member of the audience, and so they want you to be
scared.
They do, and they don't want you to be too mean to them,
right?
Because if you're too mean to them, they'll go, "Oh, well, come." They start to like sympathize with that person.
That's right, because they think that this is the first time we've also done stand up, so they don't realize this is our 8,000th time doing it, and we're so sick of this fucking narcissist in the audience who's taking the moment to take everything and make it about them. But the first thing I do when someone heckles is I get the audience on my side. So I let them say what they have to say, and then I turn to the audience and I say, is everyone impressed by what they said, and do we feel that added anything to the show? And usually the answer is no. And then I look at the person and I say, okay. I said, this is a classic case of narcissism. You're in a room of 3,000 people and you decided to take it upon yourself to make it about you. So if you have anything else you'd like to say, now's your chance. And then that usually scares them off. Yeah. One time I was doing a show at the Stand. I mean, this was like probably 2016, around that time. And there's probably 4 people in the audience. It's 1:00 in the morning. And this girl, she was wasted and she wouldn't shut up. And you just couldn't get her to shut up, right? And I'm performing for 3 other people. So finally, I just said, it's obvious that you want the attention. And so I'll give it to you. And I sat in the chair and I just stared at her. And I sat there for 2 minutes, which doesn't sound like a long time, but on stage, it's a very long time. And she was like, funny, keep going. I just sat there, just stone silent, staring at her. But you know what? Like, and I'm going to feel bad about yelling at you, snapping at me to the end of time.
That. You were correct.
No, I'm Italian, and I will literally, on my gravestone, it will say, I'm so sorry, in parentheses, snaps. But I do look back, and like now I'm a little more nicer because I'm able to enjoy what I'm doing without feeling like a hostile environment.
I also, by the way, I thought the snapping moment was very informative. For someone who's trying to get into comedy, I was at that, you remember when you're starting out, anytime you see a comic that you like, who mirrors something in you, whether for me, like when seeing a fat person on stage or seeing a gay person on stage, anytime you see them own that space, I just felt like, wow, they really are in charge in here. Because you don't feel in charge in a lot of areas of your life when you're 20 and gay,
No.
You're like, I'm around so many straight men, especially in comedy.
Yeah. Which, by the way, people like to ask a lot of times, like, was it terrible with all the straight people, specifically straight men, I found to be very informative in comedy. They were very helpful in comedy. Totally. Because, I think that you quickly learn, like, a lot of my fears going into open mics was my sort of high school fears of like, just because I'm gay, this is the thing that they're going to use against me. And in actuality, they care if you work really hard and if you are, they can see that you're working on your jokes. And I remember sitting in New York for the first time, and I went somewhere, some gay bar where there was a open mic, and this comic, I don't think he's doing comedy anymore, pulled me aside and said, never do the straight rooms, they'll never accept who you are, you can only perform in this room. And I think that's the wrong messaging, because my comedy, I feel, is more about bridging gaps than it is about like separating myself. I want to make sure, I don't want to be a comic just for one person, I want to be coming for whoever wants to laugh.
Yeah, and I don't think comedy, like the industry, is a meritocracy, but I think as much as something can be a meritocracy, the respect of other comedians is pretty much America. Like, I think if you work hard and you write good jokes and you do your thing, even if it's not something that another comic themselves do, or even if they don't enjoy it, I all the time hear comics be like, oh yeah, I don't love their stuff, but they work really hard, and like
the respect of other comics for a long time is your only currency.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, to make if I was doing an open mic and for some reason Dan Soder was in the room and he laughed, I mean, for me that keeps me going for another month and a half.
Yeah,
you know. But it's yeah. I mean, I literally will be 16 years of doing stand up, and most of it open mics and bar shows and bombing at the Ha Ha Hut in fucking Indiana, you know. And me and Lisa Traeger, I tell this story all the time. We years ago, we got our agent put us on like a co-headlining tour to all like the D clubs in the country, and I would kill to see that show. Also, bring it back.
Well,
it was. I mean, the amount of times me and Lisa fought as well could also be its own like series. But we did these shows, and it was actually a really good learning process for me because you learn how to headline in rooms with people who are in the middle of the country who absolutely hate you, and you learn to bridge that gap, and you learn to think to yourself, you know what, comedy. It's not that it's like you don't want to make it too big, like you don't want to make it too powerful. That's embarrassing, but in some way, you want to make sure that, like, hey, like, this is someone who had an idea of what they thought a gay person was. And yes, I'm doing a room that's not within my own echo chamber. And I'm sure, you know, anytime you do anything online outside of what's supposed to be your comfort zone, you're judged for it. But in my thought process is, you know what, that person, maybe they're 50 years old. Maybe they thought they knew what a gay person was their whole life. And then after this tonight in this funny bone in the middle of Ohio, they'll leave always thinking of this. And they'll have a better idea or think, oh, you know what, that one gay guy was different or made me laugh or I saw something different. And that's sort of where I want to, that's the legacy I want to leave.
That's how I want to be remembered, y'all.
Changing one man in camo. Actually, there was a guy in the front row who, this was a joke of mine. I don't even remember how it goes, but the real story was I was doing something and he was like, I don't think you're funny. And I was like, okay. And he was in full camo, which like not a great sign. And, because usually in your camo, you're trying to hide from someone.
Yeah.
And
you'd be pretty visible for a guy in camo.
Literally, the room was crushed red velvet, so he really stuck out. But I just said, okay. But I said, let's see if we can find something in common. So what kind of music do you like? He goes, I love Shania Twain. I was like, we have way more in common.
Well, okay, start out with a banger, easy one. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a very long journey, but I guess I'm almost like nostalgic now for open mic days. But it is. I do enjoy. I'm very happy with where I am in life. It's fun.
Well, that is I ask people on this show a lot, what do they want? And it seems like, what's left? I mean, you're like,
well, I got more hair, so that's checked off.
You got the hair, yeah.
I got hair transplants twice. And then, yeah, I mean, I just want to, if I could just perform in theaters for the rest of my life and keep writing the material, that's honestly all I want. And occasionally play some kind of weird character in a movie. That would be great.
Yeah,
that's about it.
And maybe do your Great British Bake Off joke on Netflix. That would also be.
Yeah, it's too late. I did it on my YouTube channel. But 3 of the British Bake Off people that I made jokes about came to see my show in London.
So
it was great. I made a joke. I forget her name now. She had one hand. Remember?
I've never seen the show, and I could not have imagined that you would have said that just now.
She did. She had one hand, but the joke wasn't about her having one hand. I don't care about that. The joke was just how opposite British TV is than American TV, where American TV focuses on whatever trauma you have. That is the number one focus. That's all we're going to talk about. We're going to make sure every episode is brought up and up again. This bitch made it to the top 3. They never brought it up once. So I was talking to Michelle Wolf, and at one point I just get a text from Michelle Wolf out of nowhere. What happened to the hand? So she came to my show. Yeah. We took pictures together. We hung out. She was a darling. She was absolutely amazing. And then the other woman, her name was Rosie. I couldn't understand a word she said. Do you remember Rosie? She literally was like, well, take it on. She shoved it up in 5. So it's like, and then at the end of the episode, you're like, oh, she was making a chicken. And she messaged me and she was like, I posted that clip and then she messaged me. She goes, can I just have myself sometimes? Queen. I love it. It was such that kind of stuff is really fun. Where like, it means that people are getting the joke the way it's intended, right? Like someone without a hand, that joke can go in the worst direction. Like it could just be making fun of someone for not having a hand. The joke was on the American audience, not her without the hand. And so the fact that I was able to translate that to an audience and then she got it and then came to my show was like full circle. Okay, Matteo, you did a good job writing that joke.
Matteo, good joke.
Thank you.
I'll tell you that anytime. Call me and I'll let you know. Not the snaps. The snaps will live in infamy. I literally think about the snaps all the time.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. I think it's a beautiful origin story for us.
It is a beautiful origin story, and it is very something I would do in that time.
I thought it was really powerful. I loved it. Do you have a boyfriend? Or are you married?
Husband.
A husband.
Rodrigo.
And married is crazy. When did you get married?
I know. We got married in August 18th of last year, so it'll be 1 year and a couple of months.
What are you guys gonna do?
I don't know. Probably probably get Mexican food.
Hell yeah.
We love Tacombe in New York, which is like a really good Mexican place.
Toma, why are you laughing? It's a regular restaurant. It's not an anniversary restaurant.
No, we go all the time. He's like, yes, I want to go to Tacombe. So we go there.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
We met online. Where else?
Naturally.
I was probably in an airport, and then I saw some beautiful guy, and I messaged him, and he wrote back, and I was like, well, this seems
Did you guys meet on Grindr?
No. We met on Instagram.
God, I would have given anything for you guys
I
to meet
can't
on
do.
Grindr.
I did Grindr back in the day, and to be honest with you, I can't do like.
Honey, you don't have to. Some of us have. Some of us don't have a choice.
No, but even now I couldn't imagine. Like, it's just so. I don't know. I've become like a Victorian woman. Like I don't go out. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. Like when I'm home, I'm just playing Fortnite or drawing. Like I don't know, the idea of like Grindr. That was like in my 20s. I was like, yeah, a stranger come over, kill me. I don't care. But now I'm like, oh God, what if he doesn't wear deodorant? Like I don't know. It's like
and a lot of times they don't.
They don't. They really don't.
Gay men are really, really allergic to deodorant. It's nuts. And we've got to do something, fellas, because it's not working.
Should we go on Shark Tank? What would our deodorant be called?
Yeah. Why was that literally the only thing that came to my mind? And I was like, be a little creative, bitch. Write a joke. No, literally.
I do a great Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank.
Go ahead. No.
I want to talk to you about your product. When I was younger, I got a $1,000 loan. From that loan, I became known as I'm out.
I can't actually process how good you are at impressions. Did you ever audition for SNL?
No,
never once.
No, I tried to you make a tape and stuff, but I don't think they want Liza Minnelli, Barbara Corcoran, or you know what I mean. I don't know that I'm their style.
No, and they're doing so well without it.
Yeah.
We have a voicemail for you from a listener, and I want to get your take. We ask people what's something they want to know the truth about.
Okay.
So I want to hear from this person, whoever they are. I don't listen to these beforehand, so we'll see if it's what they're.
Matteo, you snapped at me at a show once.
It's literally just me.
I'm just like, oh, I'm the worst.
Hey, Caleb. I know you're a big music lover, so my question is, why do you think we're not giving like 2010 music the respect it deserves? I mean, we were really having some fun with music, like Gwen Stefani Bananas.
We're starting with Gwen Stefani Bananas.
It was a fun time, and I feel like no one really talks about that music. Or maybe they do, and I'm just out of the loop. I don't know. Yeah, tell me the truth about that time period in music and
Matteo,
why we don't respect it enough. I'd love to know.
Matteo,
I know this girl. She's 38. She had the white, like a really blonde hair with black chunks and the fake tan, right? And she had her purse, and she had like that, you know, those like shit necklaces, maybe like turquoise, where it was like inspired by your Nana from Arizona. Like, you know, she had like the skinny jeans, and she was going out, and she loved her singing along to Katy Perry's "I Kissed a Girl" was like her moment of awakening, and she appreciated Lady Gaga, but she didn't have gay friends yet, so she didn't really understand the significance of Lady Gaga at that time. And now she's in HR, and she's like, wait a minute, like that music was great. It was like, no, you were 22 and you were out for the first time, and that was what was available to you, but not all of it was that great.
This poor girl listening to this, being absolutely taken apart by Matteo Lane. But I also want to say I'm giving love to that era of music. I'm pretty much always talking about some song from that era. Don't you feel, Chan? I'm talking about that music.
Well, it was. I mean, okay. So jokes aside, it was good music. I mean, we had Lady. I mean, honestly, Lady Gaga at that time she was everything.
Is that your girl? Is Lady Gaga?
No, my girl is Maria Callas, my favorite.
Thank you.
I love her, but also Barbara Streisand, and I'm such a and Cleo Lane. She's a great jazz singer. I'm so annoying.
You're a in a way that like it's hard. Would have to do research to understand the way you're
Cleo
gay.
Lane's so great. 5-octave range, same range as Mariah Carey, but she's a jazz singer, and the way she uses it it's incredible. She uses her voice like an instrument.
Yeah, well, you're gay in the way that you're like a classically trained opera singer. That's true about you.
I am.
Right? Aren't you? You're like a trained opera singer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, is Lady Gaga your girl? And you're like, no.
I do. I love Lady Gaga. You know, it was
Yeah.
a great song at that time too. What was this girl's name? Because now I love her and I want to do brunch with her. I take back everything I said. Janet Jackson had a song called "Feedback" around that time as well, and it wasn't a hit in the way you wanted to. But there was always like a gay DJ somewhere who would like mix it in with like a Britney or something, and it would, I mean, like lift my soul. It looked like I was being possessed when that song would come on. Just feedback, oh. And I also didn't realize how many drugs were. I was so naive. I didn't realize everybody was doing drugs. Like, I would be in the back of a club, like drinking like a vodka soda. Like, who am I going to make out with? And everyone's rolling. And I was like, what are they, like, what is that? Like, how come I don't feel this euphoria? I didn't.
Dude, what are your vices? You're not a drugs
Video
guy.
games. And I love cigarettes. I smoke like a white woman when she goes to Europe.
Stop it.
You know how like white women are like, ew, smoking's disgusting. When I'm in Europe, I'm like, fabulous. Like that. That is me. Cigarettes come out. I smoke them freely. Because Italians kind of smoke cigarettes in such a natural way, and they live longer than anyone on earth. I'm like, I don't know what it is about them, but yeah.
How many cigarettes are you smoking in a week?
Like when I'm in Europe?
Well, I guess how often? You're in Europe all the time, so I guess
know.
yeah, maybe.
Oui, now I'm in Europe. Je pense. I smoke. Let's see, me and Francesco, maybe like 6 a day. I mean, not it's extreme.
Is that a lot? I really don't know what a lot of cigarettes
People
is.
smoke like a pack a day. So 6 is I'm pretty tepid.
How many's in a pack? Like 12? 20?
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm a little, even then I'm like tepid with it. But now I'm back in America, I'm like, okay, back to drinking water and eating healthy.
And being good.
Being good.
I have smoked 2 cigarettes in my life and both were for a bit. Both I was kidding around. It's not for me.
I love it.
I'm scared of them. I think I would love them. I get scared of things I think I would love. I think I would love. I think I joke a lot about I'll never do shrooms, but I think I would love shrooms, and that's why I'm scared of them and won't try them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like weed. I don't like gummies. I don't like drugs. I don't like drinking. I don't like feeling that way. I mean, a drink every once in a while, like a margarita. At TGI Fridays with the girls, you know.
Don't joke. I would love to be at TGI Fridays with you.
And I'll say it's my birthday, and they come around.
One of the only things I actually need in this life is for me and you to split a Jack Daniel's sampler at
I would,
TGI.
100%.
Or a triple dipper at Chili's.
I would do it, or like an onion blossom. At
my God, at Outback Steakhouse.
I just won't go to the Olive Garden. I did it with Nick, and I can't do it.
I don't like Olive Garden.
This is why I've always respected you.
you have a different thing with it. I don't like it because I just don't think the food is good. But it feels like you
That's
have a
exactly
deeper-
why I don't like it. I don't think the food's good. And Nick loves it. We did a video where we went to the Olive Garden. I genuinely thought we were just gonna make this video and just kind of be like, well, the food's not that good. We weren't expecting a hit out of it, but we go there. They put us in the worst seat. We were right next to the kitchen, and it also felt like a heat wave in the kitchen of the Olive Garden. It was just like hitting us. And then a gay carrying all these plates. They all fell in front of us. Nick started panicking. He's like, oh my God, it's World War III. Jesus Christ almighty. Then we were sweating, and then we were like delusional, and then it was a lot going on. And so yeah, that was my only experience at the Olive Garden.
Wait, I had a beautiful experience at a restaurant in Mexico City where you being in the kitchen reminded me of it. Me and my friends were at a restaurant in Mexico City in like January, and they were sitting at the table. It was a nice place, and the server comes over and he goes, "You come with me." Pulls all of us from the table, walks us through the restaurant. Virginia was there. You remember this? He walks us upstairs into the kitchen, and he's like, staff, say hello to our guests. They all say hello, and then they give us like an individualized, like prepared bites for each of us, and they like make it in front of us. It was like a dumpling, but it was like a Mexican fusion dumpling. I have never had such a beautiful experience in my life.
Oh my God!
That's in the kitchen, and they all did like 3 claps and a little chant, and then they sent us back to the table. And by the way, this is humiliating, but I will tell it. When it happened, we were kind of like, which one of us did they recognize? You know, I will be honest, a little bit in my head, I was like, it could be anyone, but
it was you.
You know, and I was like, it's probably me. This is humiliating. Oh my God, like I can't go anywhere anymore. And then we sat back down, and they did it to every single table.
Oh my God.
And I was like, no worries.
That's the thing. I mean, don't you love when Earth just brings you right back down?
Yeah.
Right back down. One time, Lisa Traeger and I, we were in the car. This is years ago. We're driving to go perform in Jersey and at Bananas. And she was doing some TV show. And I think I had just gotten late nights. We're like, we're doing it. Our career's happening. And then we show up to this Bananas in New Jersey comedy club. And they go, well, the room is currently being used for a quinceañera. So we've moved you to another room. And so we just sat in the chair as like 6 audience members passed us while they were duct taping real bananas on the stage. And Lisa was like, okay, we've said we like brought right back down to earth.
We flew too
come
close
right back
to the
down
sun,
to earth.
and this is actually not.
But also, isn't Mexico City unbelievable? The
I
food, the people.
Loved it.
I love it.
I loved it. I walked so much that my feet bled. I really, yeah. Lisa,
Have you been to Italy yet?
I know, but I'm actually I'm going to Milan probably in July.
Okay.
Because a friend's playing a show there, and I'm going to be in Europe already, so I'm going to try really hard to go to Milan to see the show.
How long will you be in Milan for?
Well, honey, I have no plans. I'm going to Europe. I'm seeing a friend play a show in Paris. I'm going to Europe for all of July, and I have maybe 2 nights of plans, and I might go to Milan for like a week.
You need to go to Rome.
Well, maybe I'll go to Rome. What should I do? Do you have Rex?
I have a list.
Does Matteo Lane have Rex in Italy?
I have a list. I will get you the best restaurants, and I'll message them. Like, we'll get you the best service. I'll tell you I mean, Rome is like where I live and breathe. I love.
Well, then
Rome.
come with me.
I'm going in June. That's
well,
my
come
vacation.
back in July.
I'll come
Matteo.
back in July. No, but Milan is great. Ciao Milanese, but it's very industrial and very businessy and lacks like the what we would sort of look at as like the identity of Italy, right? Where Italy is like these dramatic Latin, like yelling, and Milan is a little more like yeah, we're business people. So you go to Milan, it's beautiful, the food is great, people are great, but it's not the same as Rome, where you're literally thrown into chaos and there's ancient monuments everywhere, and the food and the people in the streets and the cobblestone and the history. Like, Rome is like a fantasy. Like, you get to Rome and you're like, oh my God, I was just touring all of Europe, and the second we get to Rome, it still has that magical air quality to it.
Is Rome the place in Italy that you would have me go the most?
Rome is a great place for someone who is not Italian and has never been to Italy to go to first. Because I love Naples, but Naples is not a place you send someone to if they are not familiar with Italian culture, because they will be shocked and they will be scared out of their mind.
What's happening in Naples? What's going on in Naples? I can't go over there?
You can.
You don't think they would be charmed by me?
It's not about that. They will charm the pants off of you while literally stealing your pants. Naples, how do you? No one here is Italian. Are you Italian? Okay, and what did you feel about Naples? Yeah, it's my favorite city in the world. A little grittier.
A little grittier, a little okay.
Look, they created written music. They created all the famous Italian dishes we know. They created opera. They created pizza. It's an incredible city, historic, but they don't speak Italian. They speak Napolitano, which is a language I don't speak. The traffic is literally insane. There are no rules. No one listens to the traffic. Everyone is screaming all the time, and it is legitimate. Even for me, as someone who grew up in an Italian culture, speaks Italian, it is culture shock. It is like Italy on steroids and ecstasy, cocaine, and Molly thrown together. But it's like, yeah, the best and the worst all combined, and it's like chaos and historic. It's amazing. It's an amazing place to go.
I'm gonna skip Naples.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip Naples. Maybe sometime if we go together. Yeah. I will go. I will try to go to Rome. I also, some point on this Europe trip, I want to. Like, I have no plans. At some point, I want to just spend like 3 or 4 days in the countryside of somewhere. I want to be out of a major city. I would love to be truthers, anyone listening, K-Lebrities, K-Lesbians, if anyone has connections to like a goat farm in rural something in Europe, I want to be there for a couple days.
Tuscany.
I also might get on a friend. My friend is touring over there. I might get on her tour bus with her for
Who is this friend? I want to go with them.
Waxahachie?
It's a joke. I'm kidding. Do you know what I loved was Ireland. I'd never been to Ireland before.
I don't know if I can do it with Irish people. They have such a. I'm sorry to say, Irish people. I know I have some fans there, but they're just a little. I don't know. They annoy me.
I felt the exact opposite. Are you being serious?
No, I just wanted to have a take.
Oh yeah, okay.
no, I'll go to Ireland.
I was like,
Sure,
that
I love
was
the Irish.
bold. Well, because I was in Manchester. I land in Manchester. It's raining. And the British, you get to the airport, like, go that way. You know, like kind of yell at you. And I'm so used to JFK where like if you're waiting for the line for the taxi, like the guy's like, over there, fuck this shit. So I go, I'm exhausted. I get to Ireland. I'm waiting for the line. And the guy walks up to me. He's like, how many other of you? I go, oh, there's just one. Well, one's still a party. We'll get you on board. Get on board. And I was like, what? And I had the most beautiful time in Ireland. I loved every bit of it. I had like a spiritual moment. It was all within 24 hours. It was just like it was a really beautiful time. I loved Ireland.
I blew a date with an Irish guy in London. Last time I was in London.
Okay.
I had met
Hold on a second, because if you rearrange that sentence, it's a much more fun night.
Yeah,
So
I wish it was the fun one.
Yeah.
No, I met this. I went to the Boy Genius and Muna concert in London last year when I was over there to do my shows, and I met a cute guy at the show, and I was flirting with him, and I was like, we should go out while I'm in town, and so we did, and we went to this bar or pub, I guess they would call it, and we went. I couldn't place his accent. He didn't have a very strong accent, and I just wasn't thinking. And like 3 minutes into the date, I was like, I made some reference to him being British. And I don't know how much y'all know about Irish people.
it's
but
not good.
They're not obsessed with that idea. And he was like, oh, you fucking kidding me? Like, it was so muddled. He was so mad at me. He was so mad at me for thinking he was British. And then the rest of the date was fine. But I definitely think I think it could have been a husband, and then said it was just a date. And said it was just a date.
He needs to relax. One time a girl in my college, she walked in, she's like, hello. And I was like... And I said, oh, you must be from Australia. Welcome to Chicago. She's like, New Zealand, actually. I was like, well, I didn't say China. Like, I was close. Like, I was pretty close. Like,
grow up, bitch.
Yeah, I have a Chicago accent. That's a thing.
Do you have a Chicago accent?
Yeah.
You think you do?
I do have a Chicago accent. I've had to change how I say certain words, too.
Really? Which ones?
Well, I realized that you don't say leg and egg.
Yeah.
You say leg and egg. And then I realized you don't say roof. You say roof.
Yeah.
And not sausage.
This is okay. I didn't realize this about you, but this is all true.
Yeah, my Uncle Mike had like the thickest. He's from the South Side Irish. So Matteo, these guys over here, we're gonna go to them things there. Like that was literally how he talked. Like one of those guys on SNL. Remember the bears like that? I was like, my Uncle Mike, like.
I love that. What there's like, maybe you're one of a handful of people that I just implicitly trust your taste about comedy so intensely. I think you're an absolute genius, which is known. But who the like young comedians right now? You said Maddie Weiner just opened for you. I love Maddie Weiner. I'm completely obsessed with her. Who are the comedians coming up right now that you are like loving?
Well, Just Tom. Just Tom makes me laugh so hard. Not just that, but also when we're backstage hanging out. Just like in conversation, making me laugh, and we've worked together a bunch of times. But I mean, just makes you laugh out loud. Lisa Traeger, Yamanika Saunders. Yamanika Saunders is the funniest comic I've ever met. I don't know anyone funnier than Yamanika.
Oh, interesting. No, I'm kidding. No, she is so funny.
She is the funniest. Yamanika is the funniest.
I watched Yamanika do. I did the last comedy at the Knitting Factory show.
Oh, we were on that one together.
That thing.
There's a picture. And I think you're in it, of Yamanika when she was on stage. Me, Marie, and Sydney were laughing so hard that we're holding on to each other to keep standing.
Yeah.
We couldn't stand. We were laughing.
That
so
set.
hard.
She came on and just was so outrageous. And that was the first time I'd seen her live. And I was like, this bitch is first and foremost out of her mind. Like crazy, like truly so crazy good, like in a different level of reality. And then she just murdered. Absolutely destroyed.
I also love Godfrey. Speaking of comics, I think are the funniest, Godfrey. And also Trana Wintour. I don't know if you know her, but she's a comic in Montreal. So anytime I'm doing like a Canada spots, I have her and Tom Hearn open for me. Tom Hearn does the Barefoot Contessa on Instagram. You ever seen like, how fabulous is that?
Yeah.
But Trana makes me like, I love having comics like work with me, like if they're opening for me on the show, that I genuinely think are hysterical. Maddie Weiner makes me laugh. Caitlin Palufo makes me laugh. I mean, yeah.
Do you want to hear a Godfrey story?
Yes.
I have a Godfrey story. Chance, do you remember this? Is it from college? I've got something from that too.
Damn.
So Godfrey came and played at Missouri State when we were in college there. And I don't know what years this was. It would have been somewhere between like 2013 to 2017. 2014, Godfrey came in and played the school. And I was on like the student activities committee because of course. And he was like, do you guys want to go do something after the show, to like me and some of the other college kids? And we were like, for sure. He's like, cool, I'm going to go to my hotel room real quick just to do something, and then can you guys pick me up? And we were like, yeah, okay. And so he went to his hotel room and just obviously got like the most high anyone's ever been in their entire life. And then we went and picked him up, and he was like, let's go to Waffle House. And we were like, for sure. So we took him to Waffle House, and then we were just like, didn't really know what to say. And he was so baked, and just at Waffle House, he was like polling us. He was being like, what do like people your guys' age listen to? Like, what are you guys watching? What do you guys think is interesting? And the whole Waffle House was just him being super baked, us being stone sober, and him being like, what are kids into now? And it was so fascinating. I think about it now, and I'm like, that is an iconic thing to do after your college show.
Oh, if after a college show I was taken to the Waffle House.
To Waffle House.
I'm in heaven.
I'm in heaven, and I'm high, and I'm getting the intel. What are the youngs into?
If you're at a diner, it's 4:00 in the morning. What are you ordering?
Oh my God. Okay. Well, if I'm at Waffle House specifically, I'm gonna put people on right now. Waffle House has a grilled chicken sandwich that no one knows about. Well, people know about. No one gives it credit because it's not a breakfast food. Their grilled chicken sandwich is actually fucking amazing. It's one of my favorite grilled chicken sandwiches. But a diner in general, I'm getting, if it's somewhere in the Midwest or the South, I'm getting a biscuit with sausage gravy.
Okay.
If it's somewhere on the coast, I'm never getting the biscuits and gravy. They can't do it. It's fucking humiliating. Coastal diners just take it off the menu. And then I'm getting like a Polish sausage or like a piece of ham, like some kind of breakfast meat.
Oh, so really like salty.
Yo, I love a salt. I love a fatty. Like I'll do like 2 eggs, but the eggs are just like, why are we even doing the eggs?
Yeah, I get that. I'll do French toast, no powdered sugar on top.
You're a sweet boy.
And but next to it, I want scrambled eggs with cheddar cheese.
Cheddar cheese. Mm-hmm. Do you prefer when they put like shredded in there and get it all in there, or when they just throw like a slice on top?
Girl, I want shredded. What are we doing? Like, just say you do. I get it. It's 4:00 in the morning. Neither one of us wants to be here, okay?
Yeah.
But you're just like laying it on. It's like it's not a burger. Like, all you had to do now is just a little more. Give it a kind of like somewhat of a fantasy that you tried. But no, I don't want the laying on top. I used to go, so as Chicagoans, I used to go to the Golden Nugget all the time.
Thank you.
That was a great place. The Golden Nugget. Love, love, love. There's a couple Greek places my friend Sophie and I would go to. It used to be called the Blue Angel in Jefferson Park. But yeah, if I want like French toast, or I'll do a Liza Traeger move where you order pancakes for the table, as she says, it's a power move. And then, because I always want something sweet, but I want like cheesy. I want both flavors.
I had a really funny diner moment with Liza once because she had asked me to come to. We were supposed to hang out, and she was like, "Hey, I picked up a spot at the store. Will you come to the store and just watch my set real quick, and then we'll go hang out?" And I was like, "For sure." And we were hanging out with her and Moshe, cashier, and as opposed to all the other ones, and she came up to me, and Moshe had just been standing with us, and he was going to come out to the diner with us, and she goes, "Ugh, I fucking hate that guy," and I was like, oh my God, why? And she's like, he's like straight up like an abuser. Like, he's been very weird to women. And I was like, oh my God. And so the rest of the night, Moshe's like hanging around us, and Liza's being very friendly to Moshe, which if you know Liza, she's not one to be friendly to someone she doesn't like. She's barely friendly to her friends.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm her friend, And so I'm kidding. Lisa's lovely, but she would never suffer.
She
fools.
doesn't have a poker face.
No, cannot contain. And so the whole night I'm on pins because I'm like, I really like Moshe. I can't believe I've learned that he's like a predator, And I'm friends with Natasha as well. And I'm like, does Natasha know that he's doing this? I am spinning out. And we're walking to the diner, me, Moshe, and Liza. And I'm like, now I'm having a meal with Liza and a friend that I've just learned is a sexual predator. And at some point I get a moment to talk to Liza, and I go, maybe we got to the diner and Moshe went to the bathroom or something. And I was like, dude, I'm fucking bummed. I like don't know. I'm like really bummed out because of what you told me about Moshe. And she goes, what? And I was like, about him being a sexual. And she was like, I was talking about the guy on stage. And it was some comic I don't know and have never heard of. And I was just truly so relieved because for like 15 or 20 minutes, I was like, my friend is dead to me. I was like, that's crazy. And also, I was thinking differently of Liza. I was like, why are we going to the diner?
Right. It's like you're being so friendly with him.
I'm like, you love this
ago.
Guy? It was that was a crazy moment in my life. That moment.
Liza. But yeah, diners, and there's not that many still around. Like even in New York, like Veselka's not open anymore.
Is it not?
It's not open until 24 hours. It closes at like 11. I think they're going to go back to 24 hours because a pierogi at 2:00 in the morning is A+.
What's your all-time favorite late night diner? Anywhere in the world.
Probably Veselka when it was
Yeah.
open 24/7. That was the best. The best menu options, best cooking. I love pierogies. They were the best.
Veselka's great. Great location. It's a fun little area. Mine was the original Pick Me Up Cafe location in Chicago.
Oh, I used to go to Pick Me Up all the time.
Loved
What
it.
was their thing? They were not vegan. They weren't vegan vegetarian. Something was.
They had a lot of vegan vegetarian options, and they had like pies and shit. And it was just it was this weird, funky little place.
The
Wrigleyville.
structure of it didn't make sense.
No, it was like one room off to the side that was like had risers in
Right.
it and a booth up there, and it was and all the staff was mean, and it was really horrendous, and it was my favorite place in the whole world. And they closed
Well, they
it.
used to have Melrose Diner, which I don't know if you remember Melrose Diner, but it was on Melrose and Broadway in Chicago, and I used to live over there. So after I'd go out to like the clubs and I would get drunk, and then I would by myself go to Melrose Diner and order grilled cheese, but because they had 3 pieces of bread, but what I would do is get American and mozzarella cheese, and they would overstuff it, and I would just sit there, eat that French fries, go home, go to sleep, wake up the next day.
Absolutely obsessed. Matteo, we have a question that we ask everyone on the show.
Yes.
That I have to ask you, which is, what is so true to you?
Mariah Carey.
Point blank period. I was literally, I'm not making this up, I was on the way over here listening to Obsessed by Mariah Carey and thinking, as far as diss tracks go, the line, what order is it in? She says, you're a mom and pop, I'm a corporation, I'm a press conference, you're a conversation. I was like, that is hard as fuck. That's a hard diss line. But Mariah is one of your girls.
Mariah, I love Mariah Carey, and I've been, over the years, I've been a little harsh to Mariah Carey. I mean, I've made a lot of jokes, which albeit I've already publicly apologized because I do love her. I've seen her live 14 times, and I have a joke where I say her fans are called lambs. We should be called enablers, but but in a way, like I look at it now and think, you know what? She did the work. She writes all of her own music. She has one of the best voices of all time. And I know like top 5 voices, Mariah for me is up there, and people like to argue whether Whitney is better than her. But I just find Mariah's voice much more interesting than a lot of other singers. And I think that has to do with the fact she writes her own music. And I keep going back to her. And I love Mariah Carey.
I love that you love Mariah Carey. What's your favorite Mariah Carey song? If you had to pick, literally gun to your head, no choice, one song. And we can bring a gun out if it helps. We've got guys, can we get one of the guns?
Oh my God, that's a really hard question.
I know, I asked the hard questions.
Probably Outside or
Fascinating, you said one I've never heard of.
yeah, it's all the like her.
That's a real fan.
Yeah, and I even told when I met her, I said that was one of my favorite songs. But I was on her good side, so she couldn't look at me, so she just leaned down. She said thanks, and it was in an elevator for MTV.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Where else would it be?
It was a nightmare. But I got to be with her for 15 minutes, and I heard her do a whistle note live. So that was she did a whistle note in the elevator next to my ear. It was very cool. I've had moments with my favorite divas. So Mariah, I was in an elevator with, and she sang. And I recently went to the Metropolitan Opera and was given Maria Callas's handwritten letters to Bing, who was at that time the president of the Metropolitan Opera. And so I got to literally hold letters that she wrote, which was very cool.
Ugh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
When you said given, I was like, they gave those to you?
She gave them to me.
I was like, your influence is getting out of control. They're giving you like artifacts. This is nuts.
I would have cried if they gave me Maria Callas letters. I would absolutely sob and cry.
Y'all, give them to Matteo. You're not using them.
Yeah, they're not. They're just sitting there.
not.
They literally had to pull them out of like the archives. I'm like, I'll take one.
Just give me one of the letters. What I want to ask you, I have a question for you and then a segment. But the question I have to ask you, just because it came to my mind, you were talking about the Met. What is the most special venue you've ever played? Like, what's the one that you were like, oh shit?
Carnegie Hall.
Yeah,
that was something else. That was even, it hasn't even quite settled with me. That, and it wasn't even the stand-up, because I had Nadine Sierra, who's the top soprano in the world. I mean, she's like the number 1 soprano in the world, and she had been following me for a long time on Instagram, and I went to go see her in Lucia, and we always chatted. She got a great sense of humor, and we talk opera. And so I was doing Carnegie Hall, and I thought, I want to end it in a really special way, but I don't want to, because I wanted to sing, but I didn't want to be like finish the show and like, and now more of me, like that's so gross, singing My Way or something gross. So I asked her if she would sing with me, and she said yes. She was in town. Ugh. So she brought me to the Metropolitan Opera, and we got to rehearse in the Metropolitan Opera, and she gave me a tour. And then, so I was more nervous for singing, I put it on my Instagram so if you want to see the song. But I was more nervous singing with her than I was doing the stand-up. So after the stand-up, she came out on stage. We had the piano player, and we started La Chirerem La Mano. And that was the first time ever in my life, because usually when I'm on stage, I'm work-focused. So I'm trying to listen to the sound of the audience, wait for the right amount of laughter, get into the next. Like, it's all very, like, calculated in my head, like how quick I should respond, how long I should wait, da-da-da. And with this, it was the first time I stopped and I looked around, and I'm at Carnegie Hall, and I am singing opera with the #1 opera soprano in the world. That was the very first time ever on stage. It hit me, and I was like, how did I get here? Like, that is very, 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 very crazy to me. So I'll never forget that moment.
Well, it's a long way from Arlington Heights, Illinois.
It's a long way. It's a long way from Arlington Heights, working at Michael's Arts and Crafts, where I was.
I know you gave him hell in the Michaels, baby.
I did. I was fired for stealing, but
yeah, and that's what I was referring to. I know you steal. Matteo, we have a true false segment for you.
Okay.
And basically, I'm going to read you 15 statements.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, wonderful. You're going to tell me as quickly as you can if you think they're true or false. And hey, if you get 10 or more correct, we're going to give you $50.
Really? Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
great. Okay, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Halle Berry.
False. Okay.
Halle Berry won an Oscar for her performance in Perfect Stranger.
False.
False. It was
Monster Ball.
Monsters Ball. O'Hare Airport was originally named Orchard Field Airport.
False.
True. Penguins have teeth.
What does?
Penguins.
True.
False. The show Dexter's Laboratory aired on Nickelodeon.
That is false. It was
False.
Cartoon Network.
It was Cartoon Network. Tic-tac-toe was invented by Benjamin Franklin.
False.
False. Bozeman, Montana does not have a Shake Shack.
True.
True. Honey never spoils.
False.
True, and that also should be the title of something, by the
But
way.
it never
Honey never
spoils.
spoils, baby.
J'accuse.
The longest river in Italy is the river Tiber.
True.
False. The Po.
I don't know.
A jiffy is an actual unit of time.
False.
True.
I'm so bad at this. I've gotten almost all of them wrong.
True. One 100th of a second. A group of porcupines is called a pockpot.
True.
False. A prickle. Nathan Lane owns 11 dogs.
False.
False. Just one. Sharks have been on Earth longer than trees.
False.
True.
What? Then trees? Also, j'accuse.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ran for 6 seasons.
False?
True.
Oh, I thought it was longer than that. 6 seasons? Why did it feel like it was an eternity? Did the nanny run for 1? Like, how? I'm awful at this.
2 more. Sarah Jessica Parker played Annie on Broadway.
True.
True. The typewriter was invented in Sweden.
True.
False. It was Italy.
No.
Well, how many did he get right?
3.
Oh,
Really?
But
I
6
was
isn't
better
bad.
than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why I didn't. I almost failed high school.
What, you were stealing at Michael's. You were
I was
busy.
stealing at Michael's. I was failing my test. Yeah, it was a rough time.
You had things going on. You couldn't be doing well in high school.
Yeah.
Honestly, you getting less than 10 is great for the show because we got to keep the budget low. So
Work.
It's
Okay.
better. We also don't pay people. I think only one person has. Only one person has ever who won has ever insisted that they get their money, and it was Trixie Mattel. Trixie Mattel texted me and said, "I want my $50," and I literally had to Apple Pay her $50.
I can't say what it is, but every 3 months, Trixie and I text each other a very specific video that we recorded a couple years ago. Maybe when I come back next time, I'll show you the video.
Next time you'll show the video.
I have to get approval from her first.
Well, you don't have to get approval from Trixie. She'll do it. I'll
She'll
speak
do
for her.
it. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to plug for our millions and millions of listeners?
Yes, hi. Well, thank you for having me on the show. I'm such a big fan of yours, and I was very excited and tickled that you asked me to be on the show. So I'm very happy. Yeah, I do a podcast with my arch nemesis Nick Smith called I Never Liked You, and it's available where you get podcasts, and you can follow me on everything Matteo Lane, and I'm on tour.
An absolute genius. We love you. Thank you for doing it.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, we're done. Mateo,
Yay.
come on.